Okay, thank you very much to my dear sisters and colleagues. So time is fast spent. I first of all want to apologize because I will not be sharing my screen at this time. I had mentioned to Ixan yesterday that my laptop crashed. So I literally just got it back from IT yesterday. I was trying to share, but it started freezing. So I would rather just speak through the presentation. I will send it to Ixan so that they can then circulate to everybody. But I'm going to speak through it, and I will try to run through because I'm aware that where you have a webinar like this, people tend to lose focus fairly easily rather than if somebody is in front of them. So getting in and getting ahead, a lot of people complain. I hear graduates and young people complain about not getting jobs. They've applied to several places. They haven't gotten jobs or they've gotten interviews. What are they doing wrong? And in my position, I have interviewed people and I have also been interviewed. And I can immediately, 9 times.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello,
Can you hear me?
Yes, louder, clear, louder, clear.
Okay, so what I was saying is that many times I can instantly tell you why someone didn't get a job. And quite frankly, many times, once you walk into the room, I can also instantly tell you if you are going to get the job or not. Looking at it, we're looking at it from the context of your certification. Now, the Ixan certification is a special one. It's different from others because we are professionals. So it's not just about doing a job or any job. It's about doing the job. It's about being a professional. In everything we do, we're adding that touch of professionalism. Now, we hear that word professional and we think, hey, I'm professional. No. To be professional, you need to be competent. You need to have integrity and you need to go the extra mile. When people are talking about competence, anybody can do a job, but believe you me, to do it well is what sets you apart. To have that integrity is something that people will know you for and they will defend you when you are not in the room. And going the extra mile, I am going to talk about that because a lot of people tend to be very casual or lackadaisical about their jobs. And they're the ones that you tend to find someone who has been in a job for 20 years or 10 years, and they're complaining that they haven't been promoted. They don't seem to realize that they never went the extra mile. So my dear sister Bidemi has already talked about your CV. So I will not go too much into that, but suffice to say that your CV is your calling card. It is your brand. It is what goes ahead of you. So if there are errors, and believe you me, I've tossed CVs that have errors in them or haven't been properly written without even giving you a consideration. Let's move on to the interview. Now, in the interviews I have attended, I rarely interview them alone because I always need the extra opinions. What people fail to realize is that there are the official interviewers and the unofficial interviewers. Let me explain. So we had a call for a vacancy that I was on the panel, and you have a panel of 3 people. Now, you do not realize that your interview starts from the moment you arrive. So you think that you can get there and you don't bother to greet the receptionist. You are rude to the security guards. The IT student that brought you from the meeting room to the interview, you don't bother to talk to her properly. Guess what? We ask all those people their opinion of you because you're not just going to work with me, you're going to work with all of them. So if you think that only a few people count, you have already messed up. And I'm speaking from experience here, where we've had people complain that the job candidate was rude. Believe you me, you see that security guard outside, we will ask him because everybody's opinion counts. So that is the next thing. Connections can take you only so far. Yes, many people talk about the fact that, oh, you need connections. You will be shocked that I have taken people without connections over those that have connections. Believe you me, and those that I've worked with can attest to it. You didn't know anybody, but I hired you. Why? You see your connection, it takes you only to the door. You are the only one. You are the only one that can walk through that door. So when you come to an interview and you act like, oh, my uncle sent me here, congratulations. As the interview is going on, I will pick up my phone and ask the uncle why he's sending us this person that can clearly not do the job and is a disservice to him. So please understand that it's not always about having connections. It is about what you yourself can do. Now, another thing, you need to research about the job and about the company. Don't just come and sit there and think, okay, big company. You see, that company didn't get there by being huge, by being fantastic. They also worked hard. All the people there worked hard. So if you want to align yourself with the company, you also need to work hard. You need to bring something. So please carry out research about the job, carry out research about the company. I mean, for example, if we're looking for the role of a legal officer and we ask you a question, what do you think the laws are that this company will be affected by? And you can't even answer that. Why on earth would you come for that interview when you can't even answer that? So please do your research. And let me tell you a secret. The fact that you don't get that job doesn't mean you didn't impress the interviewers. Maybe just somebody else was more qualified than you. I have looked at some people who are so qualified or so impressive, and I've recommended them for other jobs. So maybe company ABC isn't for you, but that interviewer has friends in company XYZ and they will recommend you. So please, in everything, bring your A game, bring your professionalism. Another thing, we're talking about professionalism. Please keep your phone on silent. I know that some things we're talking about might seem basic, but you'll be surprised. I've had someone whose phone rang during the interview and he said, oh, can he pick it? We're polite. Well, yes, sure. Then he picked it and went, Of course, he didn't get the job. So please keep your phone on silent. Please dress appropriately. Yes, that one jacket, it's okay, but for goodness sake, you're not going to your friend's house. T-shirts or slogans or slippers, they have no place at interviews. When you're coming for your interview and you've done your research, and yes, we've already asked you to come for this interview because we feel that you have a certain level of competence. Please don't argue with the interviewer. Maybe the interviewer is wrong. Don't turn it into an argument, just concede. You see, what we are looking for many times is not so much how right you are, but how well you fit. So if you come across as belligerent, if you come across as argumentative, remember that we're going to work with you possibly all days of the week. Working days right now are no longer really about 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or Monday to Friday. We want to be sure that you're someone we can get along with. So please, when you come for that interview, by all means, be yourself, but also be someone that we can work with. We can teach you the rubrics of the job, or we cannot teach you how to get along and fit in. That is something that you need to work on personally. So the next step is this. Congratulations. Let's say you've gotten the job. Getting ahead. I will share with you what a friend of mine, a colleague now turned friend, shared with me. She worked for a multinational, and in her first appraisal, she didn't do well. Why? There is the what and there is the how. Both of them are equally important. The what is your competence. The how is your attitude. Everybody has a degree. Everybody has a certification. Everybody has this, everybody has that. That is your competence. Okay, they ask you to do some work. Oh, that's fine. But you see, the attitude. I had mentioned earlier about arguing or being late. People 9 times out of 10 will take someone who has the right attitude over someone who, is merely competent. So you need to look at how your attitude is displayed. Attitude is what we talk about quality. If we are looking at a situation where this person really is sort of, should I use the word toxic? You don't want to be that person that your colleagues are reluctant to work with. News spread. When you're known as someone that is constantly complaining about the workplace, whining about your colleagues, getting written up for insubordination, there comes a time that people tend to avoid you and they don't give you work. And then you think to yourself, fantastic, all the more time for me to watch Netflix and leave at 5 on the dot. These things are noticed and it will come back to haunt you. On this note, let me also say something that my former boss used to say. You see, your experience is for yourself. We can take you based on your experience and you can decide to leave, but that experience is for you. The most you do is drop handover notes and you work on. So you see, I encourage everybody, get as much experience as you can, because there'll always be things coming in the future. Get as much experience, because that experience is what would help you get your next job, your next pay. It might not even be a job as in a fee-paying job. It might be that you want to set up on your own. But you see, what you have, your calling card, is your experience, your attitude, your professionalism. No one can take it from you, no one. So you have to make sure that you have it. You have to make sure that you build it. And experience is fluid, because less than 2 years ago, everybody would write on paper and would submit paper. COVID came and turned everything around its head. So now we are looking for people who are not just experienced in the ways of law, but how experienced are you with the internet? How experienced are you tech savvy? How tech savvy are you? I know of someone who was looking for a candidate in their office and got a very promising CV, but they didn't proceed with the offer letter. Why? The person just couldn't use Zoom. The person couldn't figure out how to use the web applications. Right now, how many of us are in the office full time? So if at this point you still can't use Zoom applications and web applications, you really need to train yourself. Now, workplace, please, you need to maintain your professionalism. The workplace is not your playground at all. And I'm going to shock you, your colleagues are not your friends. So what you can get away with your colleagues, with your clients, please, do not think that, what you can get away with your friends, you can't get away with your colleagues and friends, your clients. So for example, you have a meeting at 2 p.m. You stroll in at 2:15. Your colleagues are complaining and you think, we're friends now. No, it's not okay. This is the workplace. Maintain your professionalism. Be on time. Be prepared for meetings. I cannot tell you how many times someone has walked in late, then disrupted the meeting, then goes, oh, what were we talking about? It just sets you apart as someone on serious. Now, because your colleagues get along with you, it doesn't mean that they actually like your work ethics. I know of someone who, she was let go from her job. And I'm fairly close to her. She's like someone I mentor. I'm also close to another colleague in her office. And I said to them, but she's a nice girl. How come she was let go? And I asked her, she said, oh, that place, I didn't fit in, there's this, there's that. You know, she said some big things. And when I asked the colleague, the senior colleague, that one said, she'll don't get involved. She thinks we're friends. We're gisting, but when we ask her for documents and deadlines, it's, hey, I'll submit it later now. She's borrowing money from colleagues. Please stop that habit. How can you go to your colleagues and you're borrowing money? How can you go to your colleagues and you're telling them that, oh, you want to have a party, so everybody should donate? Stop that. Stop it. This is the workplace. Maintain that air of professionalism. After you leave that workplace, you can then translate that relationship to friendship. I am friends with a lot of people that I've worked with over the years, fine. But that relationship didn't really develop on a personal level until I left. So please always maintain that air. Never forget that what binds you are the deadlines, are the deliverables, are the clients. So please stop that. As Bidemi said, your social media presence, I laugh sometimes when I hear of people that have lost jobs because of how they portray themselves. Whether or not you like it, and you can claim privacy laws, which to an extent is true, but your employers and your colleagues will look for your social media presence. So please don't go on Facebook and say, oh my goodness, I had a rotten day at work. My bully manager was bullying me again. Your bully manager, probably you've forgotten, is your friend on Facebook. Another thing, please be open to feedback. Appraisals are informal and they are formal. And believe you me, in any structured organization, you will have your appraisals. Before you even get to your appraisals, I had a boss who I asked her, I said, how do you feel when you have to do appraisals of all these people? And she said, look, anybody coming here for an appraisal should not be shocked, because she's been telling you informally where your faults lie or where you need to do better. So if you're coming to a formal appraisal and you're shocked, you really should think about it, that there's something you're not doing right. You see, if you take your feedback as an insult or a criticism, it could be an insult or a criticism, but if you then refuse to change, you're only limiting yourself, because they're telling you something. So even if it comes in a form you don't like, take what they're telling you, sift it, take it, develop it, and move on from there. Do not take it as somebody is out to get you, somebody is bullying you. Okay, even if they're bullying you, what are you doing wrong? How come you were singled out? Always use that opportunity to learn from your mistakes. Next, please, I want to appeal to everyone. Take the initiative as much as you can. You will find in any organization what we call the dinosaurs. Those that have been there for years. They haven't really moved on, but they are just there. These people, if you look at, some of them are disgruntled. They come in every day and they do the work, and at 5 p.m. they go. I had a colleague who had a project that he was working on, and all hands on deck. 5 is the closing time, but all hands on deck means that you're there till 6, 7, and at 5 p.m., one of the colleagues picks up his things and leaves, because 5 o'clock is closing time. This same colleague has complained before about not being promoted. Are you serious? You've complained about not being promoted. They are watching you. You leave at 5 when you have a project you're running, and you're wondering. You see, promotions, let me let you in on a secret. It's not about how long. If you've been there how long, congratulations, you will get your long service award. If you have given how much, then you get your promotion. So it's about quality. When you are giving quality work, which is always preferable to quantity, the quality of your work gets you a promotion. The quantity of your work gets you a long service award. So you choose what you want, promotion or long service award. It is up to you. Now, when we are talking about taking initiative and doing the work, I want you to understand that when you are asked or instructed or requested to carry out something, a project, a task, it is not complete until you have delivered. Which is why many times, if even for the lawyers here, if you look at some agreements, they will tell you what the scope of services is and what the deliverables are. Let me give you an example. So you say to someone that we need to have a meeting. Please book the meeting room. It's not enough for you to come back and say, well, I sent them an email. Did you actually confirm that the meeting room was available? Did you actually confirm that they are ready and waiting for you, that the meeting room has been aired and is ready? When they are asking you about a project, for example, your AGM is coming and they said, okay, make sure that the annual reports are available. Have you confirmed from the printer that the annual reports will be available on time? Have you confirmed that the registrars will be taking the annual reports to the AGM? Have you called all the parties involved to let them know what time they should get there. You yourself, have you ensured that you have everything you need to be there on time? So it is not until you complete your project. It's not enough to say, oh, well, I sent a mail. If you have to get up from your seat and go and meet that person in that department, you do so. During this lockdown, once upon a time, I needed someone to sign a document because I needed to send it to the regulator. It's not enough for me to tell my boss that I sent it to him. And I called and he did not pick up his phone. And I was working at home. I dressed up and I drove to the office and I went to meet him. Behold, his phone was on his desk, several missed calls. Oh, people have been calling me. Of course, I was upset because I drove all the way. But guess what? I delivered, which was to put that letter in front of him and to get his signature. So what counts is what you have delivered, not the efforts. In doing that, please, I also want you to understand that everybody's path is different. Many of you will join an organization as a management trainee, perhaps. Many of you will join and you will make friends with other people. Understand something. Your values and your goals, your path, everyone is different. There will be times that it seems like they are getting ahead faster than you. Leave them, face your path. There will be times that it seems that you are getting ahead. Don't be complacent. Everybody knows how they got there. I have a friend, and I don't even know if he's on this call, but it was one of the catalysts for him leaving his job. All of them left the office and they all went for lunch. And lunch, as we all know, is 1 hour, but they overstayed the time. Guess what happened? As he was sitting at lunch, his partner sent him a query. Why are you late? Other people didn't get a query. He got upset. I can understand why getting upset, but guess what? Everybody's path is different. So how come other people didn't get queries? That's not your problem. Leave them. You don't know who has which connection. You don't know who has which permission. Face your fronts, as they put it. Face your path. Because as the other speakers have said, we are all going to have different paths. Some people will end up as company secretaries. Some people will end up as partners in law firms or in professional organizations. Some people end up as MDs. What is your own path? You need to be self-motivated. You need to create the opportunities. Create your path. Look at your path like a bush. And then you need to go get the cutlass and the hoe or whatever you need. You need to cut the grass, create the path, and move on your path. Because if you're waiting for someone else to cut it for you, you are not likely to get ahead very fast. So in getting ahead, I also just want to say this. Understand in summary that no knowledge is lost. Your path is only what you determine it to be. Ensure that you maintain professionalism at all times. A senior person in an organization said something to me. He said he has to be very careful what he does. He is so senior that if something happens in his personal life, it can affect the share price of his company. That is how he's linked. So understand that even in your personal lives, your actions and behaviors can affect your professional life. That said, moving on, I want to just quickly touch on correspondence. I am very concerned when I see correspondence from a lot of people. I had the opportunity a while back to interview, as I said, and many CVs were dumped without even asking them for an interview. Please use proper correspondence. Familiarize yourself with Microsoft Word. You see, that is where we are. Some people, your handwriting may not be the best. We are moving away from that. When you ask someone to write a memo, an opinion, and that is what a lot of us will be doing because we are not accountants. We don't use spreadsheets so much. Use a proper format. I can't tell you how many times I have seen one document with different fonts, different alignment. Sit down with yourself. You have a laptop or borrow one if you have to. Learn how to use Microsoft Office. Learn the situations in which you should use Word as opposed to PowerPoint, as opposed to spreadsheets. Learn how to use the different formulas in spreadsheets. Learn how to give a presentation. It's not to just lump everything there. Learn how to use Word. Now, in even sending correspondence, you can send memos, you can send emails. Always use proper English. You see, there's this trend on social media where you use words and you remove the vowels. So you have something like have, HV, or you have something like moi, MOI. I cringe when I see that. And when you're so used to doing it, you don't know when it translates to the workplace, where you see some emails and you look at them and you're like, are you serious? Did you actually write this? Proper English at all times. Avoid slangs, avoid abbreviations. Like I said, colleagues, not friends. Now, also learn the differences between homonyms. Homonyms are words that sound alike, but they mean different things. Maid and maid. Your maid, your maid, your and your. So maid, M-A-I-D, maid, M-A-D-E. Your, you, Y-O-U-R, your, Y-O-U, apostrophe R-E. You see, when you present a document, much like your CV, like we said earlier, or a memo and email, it is a reflection of who you are. Are you a professional? Do you tend to use the proper language? Do you show that you have researched properly? All these things are a reflection on you. So in your correspondence, use punctuations properly. Use articles when required. You know when to use common or proper nouns. I see people randomly capitalizing words. Then be concise, because if you are using 5, 6, 7 pages to say something, it really just gets lost in translation. Once upon a time, we had a lawyer who we said to give us a report on a case, and 10 pages of, we were so hardworking. Then we sprung into action, and under the hot sun, we went to the police station and challenged the police and made sure that we're consensual. All that is perhaps if we're writing a story, but you need to go straight to the point. You need to be concise. Many times, if you're asking your boss, for example, for a favor, and you start off with a lot of things that he finds to be off point, you are less likely to grab his attention. So let's look at how you can be concise in what you are saying, how to use the proper language. Even in writing emails, writing and using CC and BCC, very important. Be very careful who you copy, why you copy them. When you're writing again, proper research. It's not just writing and assuming you know something. Many times, the law is in different places. We now have the National Code of Corporate Governance. If you're going to write anything on corporate governance, you can't just afford to say, okay, the National Code. Still look at the relevant other codes for the sector-specific industries. Look at the laws. Look at best practices in arriving at a conclusion. So the time is fast spent. I won't take up too much of your time, but I do want to say that the ICSAM qualification is unique in the sense that it portrays you as a professional who is interested in getting ahead, who is interested in being the best at what they can do and presenting quality at all times. So on this note, I will wish you all the best with your career. Please feel free to reach out to senior members of the Institute. Everybody is always happy to mentor others and to assist you in your career. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much. Seun, thank you. We've enjoyed this part 2 of the presentation, and I know it's a lot. As a matter of fact, my own notes are, a full page already, because these are very, they are tested principles. They are values that you can carry with you for life, and can even pass on. So you have given us a train the trainer session, actually, you and Mrs. Ademola. So thank you so much for doing justice. I was just sitting and asking myself that, so if you were able to do your projection, if you were able to get your slide, what would they have? Because you've done it so well. And there's nothing like when you are listening to a speaker who is speaking from their heart, who is giving the stories that are very relatable. It makes the whole conversation really tangible, and like almost like an action plan is being laid before us. So thank you so much for that, Mrs. Oluwole. We're grateful, we're grateful, we're grateful. I would want to acknowledge all of our participants, those who have been able to stay up to this time, actually, from the beginning. We've had over 100 sectors, and as at now, we're still hovering between 150 and that 160. Now, let me just make a quick attempt to summarize some of the high points of Mrs. Oluwole's presentation. She started by emphasizing on where Ms. Ademola left it, that we need to be extremely professional in our outlook, inwardly and also outwardly. We need to go the extra mile with our CV. She used the word that your CV is your calling card. I like that a lot. It goes ahead of you to speak for or against you. So we should be careful. Your CV is about putting your best foot forward, not just anytime, but always. While going for an interview, she advised that you should remember that everyone's opinion counts. She gave a very cogent illustration of how they get feedback, even from the receptionist, the security guard. Some of us would just say, I'm late, and you just through this guy without even saying hello or being professional. For me, that is a good point to remember, that the way we treat others people, the organization that is forward thinking, because you start by thinking about a cultural fit for any candidate. So these are places that you can pick up nuances and what a candidate really is. Thank you for that very awesome tip. And then she emphasized on the fact that your connection can only take you far. Your connection will take you to the door, but can't guarantee you're entering the door, neither staying with it. So you have to own your success. It's important to research about any job, the company, and even the people you're going to work with. I mean, if I'm standing before a CEO, I want to know a bit about him before I even get to him, so that I don't irritate him or, just get into some careless mode or careless mistake. So please don't wait for surprises. Look for the company, research on them, and also on the job profile. Then she admonishes us to bring our A game every time. So just let's keep doing that. And also, she also touched elaborately on, she also dealt elaborately on personal grooming and the need for us to always leverage that to our advantage. So it is not about how right you are, but how well you fit into the organizational culture. Be yourself, but be someone the team can work with. And of course, in getting ahead, you need to be conscious of the what and the how of the job. Your experience is for you. We should not hide away on the job by, Netflixing and social mediaing, my words, Then she also stressed on the importance of developing our IT skills, and just being very competent, and don't wait for things to happen to you. Be intentional about work ethics. Remember that your colleagues are not your friends. Treat them first as professionals, and every other thing can follow, okay? And remember this, so if you're giving quality work, your promotion is guaranteed, but quantity work will give you a long service award. I chuckled at that because honestly, that's the truth. So efforts don't count again. Be a game changer. Your path is all yours. Stay on your lane. Be focused. And she gave us our English 101 again. And this is for a lifetime. We need to be careful with our correspondence and not just be lazy or just think everything is okay when it's not okay. Okay is no longer okay at this dispensation. It's always about putting our best foot forward. And of course, you wrapped up by saying that the ICSAN qualification is always giving us an edge over everything. I want to just quickly say this. I, ventured into the IT sector in the last 1 year. I was opportune. So I had the idea to just organize World Officers Award. And when I sit back now, it's been exactly a year.
Hello,
And I
Ms.
look at
Lashende. Okay.
how I was able to over. It has a lot. You find some of us in. Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Might be
Go
heard.
ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have this word all over in front of us that we can harness to become whatever we choose to be. That is the story this morning, and I know that we've learned so much. On that note, I would like to appreciate all of our participants again for staying on very wonderful session this morning, and I want to thank everyone. I'm going to hand over back to the president for his closing remarks, but I won't do that without also appreciating the secretariat team for helping us to set up this session. It's been a very seamless session, and I know they've worked so hard. Biola Lasende, I'm the chairperson of the corporate members and training committee, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful time hosting you at this session. My chairman of CAN, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'm very grateful, Ms. Lashende, for the proper and excellent coordination of this particular event. This is the first time, but we've started very well, and I'm very sure that we'll improve on it next year. I have seen some questions in the chat box. The registrar has responded to some. So I just want the registrar to quickly respond now to some of those outstanding issues. Some of the participants raised questions concerning the induction. It has been postponed. What is the new date? What is the procedure, so that they can also know what has happened in the last few weeks concerning the modification of the policy for upgrade, before I now give my closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had earlier sent a private chat to Mrs. Lasende, calling our attention to the presence of Ms. Ronke Okpajobi, chairman of the visitation committee, that she will be making the speech 1 or 2 minutes as council directed, sir. So I don't know if we can quickly accommodate Ms. Okpajobi now, sir.
We accommodate her, but finish with your information to the.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, sir. I had already put it in the chat box, but the criteria for upgrade has been suspended by council, and so there's a new criteria now for associates. For graduates who are seeking to upgrade to associates, all you need now is to attend the 3 fee-paying events and then fill your form properly. You will need 2 years post-qualification. Unless you qualified on the job, then you get a special upgrade. You also have to have paid your annual subscription both to the state chapter you belong to, as well as a national body. The information is on the website. Please check under membership. It is there. And also, because of this, council has also extended the date for the induction. It is now the 23rd of July at Muson Center. It's a Friday. Thank you very much.
And for those who have not submitted the application, you still have some days to submit. I think the closing date now is 5th of July.
Of July,
you still have about 3 weeks. Please take advantage of the suspension of the credit points. It has been relaxed. That is what it means. They have only used a big grammar to say suspended. So they've relaxed the requirement just to make it very simple between now and next year. So you still have close to 3 weeks to submit your application so that you can be inducted in July, 23rd of July. So Ms. Okpajobi, quickly before I give my closing remarks.
Okay. Good afternoon, sirs, my president, council members, participants, chairman of corporate membership and training committee. We thank you very much. I represent the visitation activation committee of the institute, and our function is to get you notified of what you need to do to continue to effectively be a member or remain a member of the institute, and to maintain your presence as a member of the institute. One, we encourage you to ensure that you pay your annual subscription as and when due. And when you do that, there are benefits attached to paying your annual subscription. We always encourage members not to wait until you have something to do with the institute before you pay your subscriptions, because by then you'll find out they become too much or too heavy for you. And we find out that people go on to complain about the amount that they have to pay. Pay your annual subscription every year. From experience, we find out that many people leave their corporate email addresses with the institute, and when they change jobs, it becomes difficult to reach to them. Please, if you have your corporate email address registered with the institute, please make sure you add the personal email address so that when you change job, we are still able to reach out to you. And just like the president said, thank God we don't thank God for COVID, but one of the benefits of COVID is that we can now attend programs virtually, and this has enabled all of us, or given us opportunity to participate at events. Participation is another thing that ensures, or to ensure that you continue to remain a member of the institute, and you are designated active. That is that's the word that we use. So we reach out to people that have been away for some time, and we used to call our committee a committee of the whole house, because we encourage all members to reach out to somebody. If there's somebody you know before, and you find out the person has not been present in some programs, or it's been a while you saw the person, please reach out to the person and let the person know that yes, Ixan cares and Ixan loves me. So please, this is all I have to say, because our time is actually fast spent. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, thank you for that brief information. It is my pleasure, and I think all the points or questions raised by participants have been answered by the registrar or Mrs. Lashende. But just to also point out certain things, I don't want us to have the impression that this discussion is all about those who are looking for jobs. And as I said earlier, you are being trained as a professional. In fact, what distinguishes you from a graduate is that you can set up on your own. That's why you are called a professional. So you can establish your own business. So what has been said so far applies to those who are on their own. For example, you are submitting a proposal to your client or prospective client. You also need to incorporate all what you have had here. You need to be sure that you take care of the key areas of this particular client. Know the client that you want to work with or you are prospecting job from. As much as possible, try to address their concerns. And when you are making your presentation to them also, and also applies to those who are looking for job, one fundamental factor which you must not forget is the confidence level with which you talk. And don't forget this, even if you don't remember anything here, talk confidently, even if you are saying nonsense. It matters. If you are talking something that is important and you talk without confidence, you have not said anything. You must ensure whether you are an applicant or you are a self-employed person and you are prospecting a job, you must talk with confidence, because that is what gives the other party the impression that he or she can work with you. Imagine if you visit a clinic or a doctor, and the doctor is saying, maybe you can try this. I don't know if it will work, but you can also try. You don't need anybody to tell you that it's like a suicide mission. And as professional, you must be convinced of what you are saying. And that is why I advise in the morning that as much as possible, if you don't know what you are talking about, seek knowledge and get understanding. Contact your colleagues, so that when you are projecting yourself or you are talking, you will be in a position to talk confidently. So it applies to those who are looking for a job. So when you go for an interview, you must talk with confidence. When you are self-employed and you are prospecting job, you must also present your proposal confidently. And for those who are also looking for a job, I heard about this some years ago. A reputable organization in Nigeria contacted me that they are looking for a company secretary, and they asked for names or CVs of people, and I submitted some names. And when they heard the interview, the director called me and told me what I never imagined would happen during interview. And the director said that, do you know what, Bode? We got him some people as member of the panel whose job was just to play the role of a spoiler. Spoiler in the sense that they would deliberately provoke you because they want to know your ability to work under pressure or to manage tension. Because in that particular position is such that you are dealing with various stakeholders and they don't have the same orientation. And they want a person who will be in a position to manage difficult stakeholders in such a way that the image of that organization will still be intact. So be conscious of some nasty questions that will be asked during interview or even a proposal when you are submitting a proposal. Some of them are asked deliberately to provoke you to bring out the who that is in you. You know, you cannot hide your character. You can only cover it a bit. But when you are provoked sufficiently, then you will explode. So try to manage that and be conscious of that particular fact so that you'll be in a position to manage whatever will happen. So it's very, very important that you take note of that. So it's on that note that I advise you, if you feel that you still have other questions, please reach out to the secretary, reach out to the registrar, get clarification as much as possible. You have this network of professionals always willing to assist. If you don't know anything, they've communicated earlier, WhatsApp platform will be open for graduates so that we can actually start this conversation and you can learn from one another. Nobody knows it all. And as I said the other time, ignorance is a virtue. So don't die with your ignorance. Seek knowledge. Open up. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. There is nothing bad if you don't know how to do something. Reach out to people to assist you. But make sure that your professional opinion is such that it's well researched and that when you give it, you won't have any backlash. So it's on that note that I wish you a very nice weekend, and I welcome you to the fold, and I pray that God will bless whatever you lay your hands upon, and that this profession will be rewarding to you and the members of your family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.